We're going to continue our exploration of non-ordinary consciousness within shamanic practice. And now we're going to be looking at mediumship. And mediumship is practiced by shamans across the world. And it is a process of mediating between the world of spirit and ordinary reality. And in this process, as in many other processes the shaman engages in, the shaman becomes what is called a hollow bone. And this is a shamanic term that refers to the fact that a shaman allows their body-mind complex to become a conduit or a pass-through for spirits who do not have bodies, so that they can communicate clearly to people who are in bodies. And people, of course, one of the things I need to say right up front is that it's important, if you are considering exploring mediumship yourself as part of shamanic practice, to be sure that you are establishing relationships with compassionate beings that become the spirits that you would be working with as a medium. And there's a lot of shamanic practice that is not always so careful to focus on bringing compassionate beings through that hollow bone. And certainly in the practices we do here at the Sacred Stream, that is an essential aspect of the practice. And it's a very helpful way to work because people can consult mediums when they want to speak with compassionate spirits who can offer guidance or assistance, or when they wish to find out information about those that have gone before. They can consult the helping spirits through the medium. And the shaman who is acting as a medium or a channel spends quite a bit of time conducting ceremonies in order to prepare themselves to be a proper channel for the spirits who work through them. And they may prepare for the experience by making offerings to the spirits, by fasting, dancing, and chanting in order to help fortify themselves and become power-filled so they can establish a strong connection with the spirit world. And, there's an interesting story that His Holiness the Dalai Lama tells about working with a medium and in his autobiography. And it's very interesting because he's talking about working with a medium in a Buddhist context, but everything he describes is utterly shamanic in nature. And this is, one of the really interesting aspects of the encounter between shamanism and Buddhism that took place in the Himalayas when Buddhism came into the Himalayas between the 8th and the 11th century AD. And at the time, there was a very powerful shamanic practice there that became integrated into the Buddhist practices, and actually Buddhist practices became integrated into that shamanic practice as well. And so you have a very interesting set of traditions in the Himalaya and a very interesting encounter with shamanic practice here through the lens of mediumship that His Holiness describes in his autobiography. And here I just want to read a little bit from this. You can read it fully yourself in that book. But here he talks about the spirit that comes through the oracle or through the medium of that has been connected to the Dalai Lamas for many centuries. He says, Nechung, which is the name of the spirit, has always shown great respect for me. Even when his relations with the government have deteriorated, as they did in the last few years of the Regency, he invariably responds enthusiastically whenever asked anything about me. At the same time, his replies to questions about government policy can be crushing. And sometimes he just responds with sarcastic laughter. Dealing with Nechung is by no means easy, he says. It takes time and patience during each encounter before he will open up. He can be very reserved and austere, just as you would imagine a grand old man of ancient times to be. And then he goes on to describe how the medium, how the Nechung begins to come through the medium. There's a ceremony that begins with chanted invocations and prayers, accompanied by horns and cymbals and drums. After a short while, the medium, the Kutan, enters his trance, being supported by his assistants, who then help him to a small stool. Then, as the first prayer cycle concludes and the second begins, his trance begins to deepen. And at this point, a huge helmet is placed on his head. Now the medium's face transforms, and then he momentarily stops breathing. At this point, the helmet is tied on very tightly, and then the spirit can now come in. And the mortal frame of the medium expands visibly. Then he leaps up with a start and, grabbing a ritual sword from one of his attendants, begins to dance with a slow, dignified, yet somehow menacing step. He then comes in front of me and either prostrates fully or bows deeply from the waist. And then follows an interchange between Nechung and myself, where he makes offerings to me, and then I ask any questions that I have for him. As soon as he's finished speaking, the Kutan or the medium makes the final offering before lying down, signifying that the spirit has left. And then the knot holding the helmet in place is untied, and the medium returns into his normal state. So this is a very good example, a very good description of the way that a shamanic process of mediumship might work. And in modern times, of course, mediumship is practiced outside of the shamanic container. And there is much information that we can receive and attain by developing ourselves and whatever skills we may have to be able to act as a medium. And it's, some people, I think, are born with greater facility to act as a medium, and some people need to work a little bit harder to develop it. But as with all shamanic practices, establishing a strong relationship with helping spirits can help us develop and become more able to step into moving between the worlds of the seen and the unseen in ways that we may not have ever imagined. And this is something that we do learn how to do here in the shamanic education here that we have in the applied shamanism program here at the Sacred Stream. And it's something to consider as a way of understanding the world of spirit better and understanding how the unseen forces of nature can support us in our everyday lives.